Time. Let me share my screen. Good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your week. Let me share my screen and we will get underway. I think I've already shared it. Okay, so let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. So today we are going to discuss a verse 4.7, which is one of the most popular verses in Bhagavad Gita, especially if you have watched Mahabharata and you are young, then you can relate to this verse, and that is the one we are going to talk about today. We will pick up a word from this verse that we are going to focus on today, which Lord is referring to, the righteousness or the Dharma aspect of it, and that's where we are going to focus our discussion around. So let me get started. I will recite it and then you're welcome to follow along. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam tadatmanam srijamyaham. Okay, let's take a few hands.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, Sandhya ji, and everyone. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. Radhe Radhe.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I feel like going forward.
I know you narrated
it. Thank you.
The way it's done in Mahabharata. Very nice. Thank you, Shri Ramya.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Ashutosh.
Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Wonderful, very nice. Okay, let's take the remaining hands as well.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Riya ji.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Full, very nice. Thank you.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Just a sec.
Mhm.
यदा 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 हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice. Thank you, Ragi ji. Last but not the least, Sandhya, go ahead.
Yes, यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
Okay.
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Okay. Yeah, your audio is a little breaking in between. Okay. So, do we have any more hands? Okay, we don't have. So let's get started on this shloka. This says, in this Lord is saying, whenever there is a decline in righteousness and an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjun, at that time I manifest myself on earth. So this 4.7 and 4.8 that we're going to do next, they are very popular verses. So we'll go a little bit in detail. We have covered it in past also, but there's always something new that comes up. So decline in righteousness and increase in unrighteousness, decline in dharma and increase in adharma. So this is what Lord is talking about. Now, the question, of course, is what is this righteousness? Is it something absolute or is it something relative? What is this dharma? Again, dharma is something absolute or dharma is contextual. So we'll try to dabble in this topic today and take inspiration from the Vedic wisdom like we always do around it. So let's proceed on this one. So this word dharma, it comes from a Sanskrit root called dhri. That means to hold or to maintain or to preserve. Dharane yogya in Hindi, like they say, right? Dharma. Now, the second meaning of, we still have folks joining in, so that's fine. I can do a quick recap. The second meaning of dharma is the law of principles that govern the universe. Right? So we see the creation. If the creation is without any laws, it will be very whimsical at that point. Though there are certain laws that dictate this creation. And for us, it's on us basically to not only understand those laws, but to adhere to it as well. Now, if I'm doing like in India, I'm doing a left wheel, right wheel drive. Right. So if I have to keep left everywhere is there. And if I go to US, if I start doing the same, we know what will happen. Right. Not only the accident, but the cops will pull you up and say this is not acceptable. So every country has its own set of code of rules. And similarly, when this universe is created for us, for the conditioned souls, there are set of rules that we need to abide by. And those set of rules is essentially, it's the dharma basically, is the law of principles that govern the universe. Yeah. Now, what are some of the salient features of dharma? Let's talk a little bit about that as well. So one is, it is universal. Now, dharma cannot be limited to a place, time, and stuff like that. It has to be universal because it is part of the creation. So it has to be universal in nature. What it means is it doesn't matter which religion or sect you belong to. This will act in the same way on everybody. So it's not like if you're a Hindu, you have a certain dharma, or if you're a Muslim, there's a different one, or if you're a Christian, there's a different one, depending upon whether you follow Quran, Bhagavad Gita, or Bible. The rules will change if you do this, but because the rule is a rule. Okay. That is what dharma is. So it is universal in appeal. So basically, spirituality, if you look at it in a sense, it is a science between humans and God. It is not something which is like, yeah, it is not something which is saying it is between a particular sect or a religion and God and that particular sect's God. God is universal as well, right? God is one entity. And hence, these rules that are created around it are universal as well. Okay, they are not bounded by any religion, sect, or so basically they are not a function of a particular community or a religion or a sect or a country or the tradition that you follow. They are pretty much universal in appeal. So that is the first salient feature of Dharma. The second one is they are timeless. These laws are not affected with the passage of time. They remain consistent. So it's not like something which is relevant 10,000 years ago is no longer relevant. It has become dated, right? We do constitutional amendments from time to time because certain laws, they become obsolete or dated. Lathi charge was needed by Britishers to suppress people. So that was part of the constitution. Now, is it still relevant today in present times? Probably not. That means the constitution probably needs an amendment. Okay, I don't want to stir up a controversy here, but what I'm saying is certain laws, they may become dated because they are no longer relevant in present times. But when it comes to dharma, it is never out of fashion. Okay, it will always remain the way it is. Okay, so it is timeless. That is the second salient feature of it. And what is another one? The third one is it is self-evident. Self-evident. What does it mean? The result of not following them is visible or evident. Austerity is a principle of religion. Austerity is denial of irregulated desire of enjoyment. All the traditions talk about it. The law of results of not following or not following will appear visibly. So certain things are visible immediately. Certain things, of course, are evident through law of karma, right? If you don't follow dharma, anyway, you are caught up in the web of karma, right? So it is said when this creation is done, in Bhagavad Gita, that shloka, Karmanyavadhikaraste also talks about that. But then even in Ramayana, it says, Karma pradhan ye vishwa rakhi racha jo jas kariya so tas phal chakha. So there are rules, and then those rules have to be adhered to. And the self-evident part of it is law of karma that we don't know. We can only see things around, and part of it is within this life you could see that, right? If you have a nature to indulge in food and you don't follow discipline, or you don't pay attention to your studies, you're not good at time management, we see what happens, right? Discipline, austerity, when we don't bring in, those results are self-evident. And self-evident is what? Self-evident is something like salt in food. It's self-evident, whether it's appropriate or it's more than what you need, or it is not something which is palatable. So these are the three attributes or the salient features of dharma: universal in appeal, timeless, and self-evident. And they are applicable to everyone. As long as you are human, you are in a purusharth yoni, not a bhog yoni, right? This dharma does not apply to an animal, right? If a tiger comes and it's hungry and it eats you, will God say, you know what, you are not supposed to eat a human and it counts as a sin for you because you violated the dharma or the code of conduct expected of an animal? Of course not. They are in a bhog yoni. They are scripted and they go by instincts. This dharma is applicable to humans who have been endowed with the faculty to discriminate, or called vivek buddhi, so to say, which they can, which they are supposed to utilize and take benefit from. So this is how it goes, and it is universal because it's more like a law of gravitation, universal in appeal. Between any two bodies, it would exist. It is not like a law of gravity which varies from planet to planet based on the mass that it has, right? Moon has 1/6 of gravity and it is not consistent. So it's more universal in appeal. That is what dharma is. Let's go. That is some of the salient features of dharma. We'll go a little more deeper into this. Now, what is dharmasya glani? Now, dharma, can it deteriorate? Because God is saying decline in dharma. Can dharma decline? I mean, dharma is dharma. Let's understand that. Can it decline? Dharma does not decline. It cannot decline. Dharma is dharma. However, and it is not even affected by people following it or not. It will remain as it is, like a law. Like if someone says, I don't believe India has a prime minister, I don't believe India has got constitution, I'll live my own life, I don't care about it. It's not going to affect that, right? Will it affect the constitution? Will it constitution become any less or more just because somebody believes in it or doesn't believe in it? No, it is agnostic of whether people believe in it or follow it or not. So dharma itself is agnostic of that. And what declines when God is saying that? So this thought or disbelief will not affect any constitutional lawmakers. They will continue to exist. The moment the above person breaks the law, that person will be punished, because that the code of conduct expected, the constitutional code of conduct is actually fixed. So the knowledge about laws of following or not following, it does not affect the existence of the laws of its results. I think that's pretty evident, right? When you break it, you bear the result of it, right? So that is how it goes. An example, if you look at it, if somebody says, I don't believe in the law of gravity, if all people in the world say this, it will not affect the law of gravity. It will still exist. In the same way, dharma is always existent and is not affected whether we follow it or not. Then why is God is saying decline of dharma? It actually means decline of people following dharma, which they should follow. Okay. So there is decline in the people who follow the rules. That is what God is saying. Now, when does it descend? We think Ghor Kali Yuga has come, people don't follow this and that. No, God has a good picture of it. Okay. When it happens to an extent where it deteriorates completely and it warrants his intervention, that's when he will come. Okay, we cannot say, God, Ghor Kali Yuga has come as per our understanding. Can you please? So, he said, I know that. Okay. There are still enough people. Harinam is still there. And there are still people who are lifting the weight of this earth just because Harinam is there, devotion is there, Sankirtan is there, belief in God is there. So if you do believe in God, you're actually helping sustain this earth for the rest of the humanity as well. It's not very simple. Harinam is anyway Yug Dharma in Kali Yuga. So if you're doing Sankirtan, if you do Nam Jap, if you think about God, if you're cultivating devotion and faith in God, you're actually helping humanity. It's not a straightforward, I mean, it's not just limited to yourself, right? Because that weight is very much, and that weight is sustaining this earth. When this name will deteriorate completely, that's when God will manifest, which is pretty far away. Okay, Kalki Avatar or whatever. So that is how it's meant to be. So the deterioration does not happen in dharma, but in the people who follow it. And there are enough people here who can carry the weight for now. Okay. And that is why God is not manifesting at this point. Now let's move on. Dharma. Now let's continue on this discussion. It's verily the prescribed actions that are conducive for our spiritual growth and progress. That is essentially the code of conduct, what is dharma is. And on the contrary, the reverse of this is adharma, unrighteousness. Okay. And God is saying, when unrighteousness prevails, the creator and administrator of the world intervenes by descending and re-establishing dharma. So it's his job basically to re-establish it. That's when the avatar takes place. And it is out of this causeless grace again, right? I like this one, came across. When you run alone, it's called race. And when Krishna runs with you, it's called grace. So when there are rules, right? God follows rules. Because if God would not follow the rule of law of karma, right? There are laws and there are rules. Then it will be very whimsical. The very foundation of this creation will be shaken if there are no rules. And if God can be bribed, against the rules that he has set, it cannot happen. However, when there are rules, there are exception to rules, and there is, in order to follow the exception to a rule, there is a rule as well, and that rule is grace. When does God grace? It's when you become completely Sharanagat. Okay. Anyway, the grace is work in progress as well. The full grace you will get when you become 100% Sharanagat, but as you practice it as well, you are eligible for the grace, and God keeps on gracing you. So he follows his rule. There's an exception to the rule. And in order to follow the exception to the rule, there is a rule as well. And that rule is surrender. Okay, we'll talk about it sometime. But anyways, let's understand for today that in order to re-establish Dharma, God descends from time to time. And that's part of his causeless grace as well. All right. So now let's get a little technical into this concept as well. Okay. So hope you are with me so far on the concept of Dharma. Dharma does not decline, right? It's not a function of time, people. The people who follow the Dharma, they decline. And when it is that critical mass is formed, right? God only knows what is that critical mass. Right now, it's not there. When you have enough people not believing in God, Harinam basically evaporates completely, or there is very minuscule part of Harinam remaining, or probably nothing is remaining. That's when God intervenes, because it's about time to resurrect, basically re-establish the things for the benefit of mankind. And Dharma, like I said, it's very important to understand there are three salient features of Dharma for the benefit of people who just joined late. They are universal, right? It is timeless, and it is self-evident. Okay. And this code of conduct, it's not limited to any sect, tradition, or a community. Okay. It is applicable to pretty much all the humanity, all the human race. Code of conduct is a code of conduct. That's it. It's a simple part. That is what Dharma is. Now, moving on, let's go a little technical into it. All these things that you see, right? Water and wetness. Can you separate them? Have you seen dry water anywhere? Nobody can see that. There is dry ice, by the way, solid carbon dioxide, but dry water, you cannot see anywhere. Water and wetness, they go hand in hand, right? Now, fire and heat. Are they separable? Can we separate that? Have you seen cold fire? Or what do you call that? Basically fire, which is not resulting in light or heat? Not possible. Milk and whiteness. Have you seen milk without whiteness? I mean, you may say Bournvita milk, but that is different. You put something into it. But milk and whiteness are inseparable. It's a salient part of milk. Similarly, sugar and sweetness, they go hand in hand. So the point I'm trying to make here is that is called Dharma, something which is integral to your being as well. That is another definition of Dharma. One is the code of conduct we spoke about, the laws we determine. Second is the entity itself has a Dharma as well, okay, which is inseparable from its existence. Okay, like water and wetness. When water is there, wetness is a natural consequence of it. Fire and heat, milk and, we spoke about, as well as sugar and sweetness, right? We see that. So they are inseparable. So that means wetness is a Dharma of water, fire and heat is a Dharma of fire, whiteness is a Dharma of milk, and sweetness is a Dharma of sugar. Okay, that is integral to its existence. Now let's move on and have a bit of a contemplation and thinking about what I'm going to pose in your screen, and you tell me, what do you make out of it? Okay, I'm going to pose different acts, and you have to find what is common in all of these. Okay, so here's somebody's watering the plants. I'm just picking up day-to-day activities. Okay, not all inclusive, but most of it. Then somebody is hosting guests and relatives, right? Potlucks. Then somebody is spending time with family. So spending time with and helping family, that's another one where you go for vacation or just having a family time. The third one is hosting guests and relatives, potlucks. We all know, right? We do that from time to time, socialization. Then we have working at office. We all work at office. Then fighting a war. We have soldiers who are doing their duty, fighting a war. Then we have exercising. Right, we do this exercise as well. I mean, just picking up some activities which different people, occupations they are involved in, basically, just to illustrate that everybody is doing something. Some act is happening. Then taking the pets out. What else? Okay. Now, what is common in all of these? All right, let's hear a couple of hands I can see. Let's start with Sandhya. Okay, first in, first out.
They're all doing actions as part of their perceived duties. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. They are doing actions as part of their perceived duties. Very true. Shyamji, you wanted to add something? You raised your hand. I saw you as well. And then we can get to Shri Ramya and Prashasti as well. Yes,
Yes.
Shyamji.
Shyamji?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. It's just how you use your time. Depending on our priorities, use your time. Depending on, I have time, so I may work, host guests, all those things. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Prashasti ji.
Yes, Prashasti ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Care and commitment. When you need commitment to keep the plants alive, to keep your pets alive, take care of them. So I'm staying with family, or if you have guests at home, they also require your care and commitment of that amount of time that they are there. So I feel care and commitment.
Got it. Time, commitment. Few themes are emerging, doing actions as appropriate to their duties. All these things, keep those thoughts in mind, and then I'll come back to it. Yes, Suvarna ji, good to see you. Always good to see you. Please.
Lots of comments also, if I can quickly read. So Shri Ramya ji says all of them are working. Kanpriya ji says doing their social duties. Lakshmi ji performing our prescribed duties, social responsibility, personal duties. That's what is coming up as a common theme. So Swarna ji, Radhe Radhe.
Swarna ji.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe everybody. I hope you all are doing well. And in this slide, I see that they all are fulfilling their responsibilities and prescribed duties according to their consciousness, to do something for the society and something better for their life, and as a good karma, as to contribute towards good karma.
Right. Very true. So all of you are right? They are doing their duties. They are doing certain actions. Shyamji said based on their priority, where they are putting in their time. All the answers are right. Now, the common thing that I will call out here is everybody is serving. Okay. Everybody is serving. And this serving, yes, Shweta ji, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, Jyoti ji also mentioned this. They are serving. And Shweta ji, Radhe Radhe.
Yes, according to Kripaluji Maharaj, even if you are not doing any karma, but you think about somebody in a bad way, like, oh, I want to punch him or I want to kill him, even if you don't act on that emotion, that is still counted as karma. Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta ji. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Not even for a second we are without any act. That is very true. We are doing action. Now the point here is all of us are serving, and it is integral to our, see, like the previous slide I showed you, the wetness and water, fire, heat and light, and then sugar and sweetness. All the examples that I showed you that are integral to their existence. Similarly, as humans, we have to serve. Okay, if you don't have anybody to serve, you will pick up a pet and start serving it. Or you are serving your friends, or you are serving your country, or you are serving your family. You will find somebody to serve. You cannot live without serving. Or if you don't have anybody, you will start serving your body by exercising. So serving is an integral part of our existence. That is the key thing. So that becomes our dharma, right? Dharma of If you look at each of the examples that I showed you previously, dharma of fire is to be hot and provide light. Dharma of water is to have. Similarly, as humans, nobody can live without serving. You have to serve somebody. Okay, this is very integral to our existence. You see, in US, people don't have anybody. The kids leave and everybody, then they pick up pets. They have to serve. That is integral to our nature. So that brings me to any questions on that? I think it's a pretty fascinating fact. All of us humans, they have a tendency to serve. Now, if I go even more technically, we are parts of the whole, and everything in this universe is serving the whole. Right from earthworms, we make the soil fertile, all the way up to the plants who are providing oxygen, to the oceans. Everything is serving each other. Everything is meant to serve, right? Because we are part of the whole and part has to serve the whole. So serving is also integral to our existence. That brings me to a question. Who are we choosing to dance around? Basically serving. You have to serve. Now the choice is with you. You want to serve Maya, make the center of your life Maya. That is also a choice which we are making, of course, as part of our duties. And then second is you make God as the center of your life. That choice is always there. So we have to reflect on that. Who are we choosing to serve primarily in our life? Okay, it could be, we could be serving ourselves as well, because we are just occupied with our own self. Or we might have expanded our bubble to our family. Some people expand it further. They pick up causes in life, right? There are so many isms that are related to that. Or somebody keep on expanding it. So who are we choosing to serve actually dictates the trajectory of our spiritual life. And as scriptures say that you serve Maya, Maya will make you dance. Okay, it will never tire making you dance. You may get tired, but you can continue dancing around it, and that game will continue, which anyway is continuing in this 8.4 million travel that we are doing. And when you start choosing to serve God, then Maya will start aligning around you. The point here is that we all have to serve. That is our dharma. Now I'll get back to the shloka where God is saying when there is decline in righteousness, what is he talking about, right? We'll go a little deeper into that tomorrow. What righteousness? What is dharma for us? Now you say, what should I do? Give up family? Give up friends, right? Of course not. He's not saying that. Nothing of that sort, right? Then which dharma is he talking about? That which declines is what we will talk about tomorrow. But for today, let's understanding the definition of dharma in its entirety. We need to reflect upon this. Who are we choosing to dance around here, right? And it's a silent exercise you have to do. If you want to share something about it, you can. But the point is, we have all made our choices around what do we want to choose to serve in our life. And that needs to be at least to be balanced out to begin with. And then, of course, the proportion of serving God has to increase if you want to increase our spiritual merit around it. If we continue to choose world, this will continue. This game will continue. You can choose to serve God as part of your duty anyways. That is what Karam Yoga is. But the consciousness again needs to be that I'm serving God. So it's a tweak in consciousness that is needed for us to start aligning to our dharma, which is our constitutional position or something which is very inherent to our nature. We have to serve no matter what. Now, if you're serving, thinking of them as your friends, family, and stuff for your own sake, or you're serving because it's an opportunity endowed to you for the pleasure of God, both choices are there with us. So dharma is something that you cannot get rid of. You have to, it's an integral part of our existence, and serving is a dharma for humans. That is a very simple thing. Now God is saying when you don't serve me, that's when I'm going to descend, is what we are going to talk about tomorrow. Any questions so far? Does it make sense, this particular slide that I put together? Are you able to map it to this one? If you are, then I think I've done my job. If not, then I'm happy to talk about it. No questions today? Too loaded of a topic, huh? Yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Like this topic of contemplation, right? whom do we make the center for our service, like whom do we want to serve? Doesn't it also depend upon what do we consider ourselves? What do we think of ourselves as our identity? Whether we
True.
consider ourselves as a body or a soul. So
tomorrow we are going to talk about dharma and paradharma, okay, aspect of it. And then we will see what God is talking about, right? So we will talk, tomorrow's topic is going to be what is dharma, what is higher dharma, and what is highest dharma. Okay, and then we will get into some of the specifics about what you touched upon. So good point. Okay, you are jumping the gun. I'll not let you do that today.
no, I
Yes.
stopped now. Arnima Di, Radhe Radhe, please go
Get
ahead.
into that. Yes, Arnima, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I just want to say that this last slide, so what I understand is the Kriya, not this one, the other one, which we are showing different people are doing different things. So actions really does not tell us if we are serving God or we are serving ourselves. Even if we are spending time or watering, if our intentions are towards that we are serving God, then it becomes that we are serving God.
Yeah, very true. It's intention, right? God is not saying stop doing or watering or stop fighting the war or stop exercising or stop treating your friends and family. No, of course not. It is the consciousness with which we are doing it that needs to be tweaked. If you are doing it for the pleasure of God, it's an opportunity given to you, right? Everything. Just have a service attitude, and that remembrance of God is there, and that knowledge at the back of your head. It's an opportunity given by God. My real goal is that everything is fine. You don't need to stop doing anything. Actually, karma yoga is essentially that only. God is not saying you leave everything. You do whatever you are doing in whichever station of life you are. You start bringing in God consciousness. That's all it is. And God doesn't even ask us to serve in reality, right? And physically come and press my feet. He say, you do it in the mind. That is enough for me.
But then all of this has to be done in detachment.
Detachment, when you so attachment only has to be with God, right? Detachment means you are doing it as part of your duty, not with a sense of I own it or it's for my happiness or my sake. That consciousness has to be tweaked. Attachment only to God. That is what God is saying, right? For conditioned souls, it's difficult, but essentially that is the gist of it. Right? That's what our scriptures are telling us as well. Man hari mein tan ya. Tan in car and man in yar. And yar is God. That is what God has said, right? Jab nahi rahega koi kaam and man mein only sham, something like that, right? Basically, God should be our focal point of everything. It's again like that example, right? A boy wanted to marry a girl, and then his father said, you don't earn well. Only if you earn well or you get a 6-figure salary will I give the hand of my daughter to you. So this guy starts working hard in office, working hard and doing part-time and this and that. He started working really hard. And of course, when he's working, he has to deal with his job and so many things, so many people around. So is he thinking about the people at that point, or for oneself? His only focus is that girl, right? That is just the stepping stones and people who come in his life, but his goal is that girl. Okay, one day I will marry that girl. So similarly, God is saying, keep your goal clear. What is it that you want to get out of it? End of the day, are you taking your family out for a vacation because you want to enjoy that nice sip of cocktail or mocktail on that cruise ship for your own sake? Or you're taking them out because it's something you want to do, so that it's part of something that God has given you, an opportunity to uplift them and make them feel good and stuff like that. Is it for your own bhog or for something bigger is essentially the question. And if you're doing it only for your own sake because you want to enjoy that next ounce of bliss that you can extract out of this world, then good luck. Basically, God is saying it's not going to happen. We cannot become happy by licking dew. Okay, repeated licking of dew, you cannot become satiated. It does not quench the thirst. So world does offer us a little bit of mellow, or like a dewdrops, a little bit here and there. But if you keep licking those dewdrops, it will not quench your thirst. Yes, sorry, you were saying something, Sandhya?
Ji said, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishner Nityadas.
And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had also said, Jiver Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. So we Krishna Das. So when we are the Das of Krishna, God, as part of the whole, that is our constitutional position, like hand to the stomach relationship. Of course, by serving, we get what we need in return, right? All the nourishment, the minerals, the blood flow to the hand is supplied by the stomach when hand feeds the stomach. So hand thinks, no, enough of serving the stomach, I'm going to enjoy on my own, and cuts itself from the stomach or the body. Then you think the hand can survive, it cannot. It will not get what it needs. So it's in serving we get. That is the secret of this universe. And we think by hoarding or extracting we will get, that we will never get. And bin mange mile moti, mange mile na bheek. So that is the whole principle. When you sacrifice, when you give, you get what you need. But when we think we are going to get it by ourselves and by holding it for ourselves, we don't get. And that is the principle of this universe. So serving is our dharma. Now we need to figure out who are we serving. You can profile it for yourself every day. Who are we serving? In what consciousness are we serving? That will dictate the trajectory of our spiritual growth. That is essentially what Bhagavad Gita or all of our scriptures are talking about. God is not asking us to change anything, or it's not a revolutionary concept. He's not asking you to tweak your consciousness. Just understand who you are. Why are you playing this game? Who are you playing this game with? Who's your true Nati and Sambandhi? And then act with proper knowledge. Act in accordance with that. And these family, friends, are they going to remain with you forever? They will not. They're just a temporary people who are assigned to you in this life, who will move on with their own journey. And then you will find the new toys, and then again the new toys, and then again the new toys. And what's happening? The same drama is unfolding. Okay, any other questions or any other remarks on this?
Shyamji had raised hand. Do you want to still share something, Shyamji?
Shyamji, go ahead, please. And one principle I'll tell you, Shyamji, before it slips out of my head. If you plan for a movie or a marriage or some big function, and you are seeing some impediments, traffic light happened, this happened, that happened, it can happen in life. But if you make something priority for a satsang or something, you'll see the universal forces will start cooperating with you. You'll start getting unprecedented help from all the quarters it happens. When you really make an intense desire for God or anything related to that, something starts cooperating with you. And that is the rule of Maya. Maya's job is to push you towards God by slapping you from time to time. Okay. But when you start making that priority yourself, making that as a focal point of your life, Mike forces will start cooperating with you. I've experienced it multiple times in my life. Trust me. I always say that, I used to work with Infosys in the past, and my life used to be so crazy busy. And there used to be a guy from ISKCON I met. He used to wake up at 4, do his whole rounds in Mala and everything. I used to wonder, how can this guy find time? And he said, Krishna makes out time. I said, this guy has gone crazy. And trust me, the amount of work I used to do then, I do 3 times more work now. But I have 3 times more time as well. I don't know how it happens. Krishna makes it happen. So when you make this priority, somehow things start cooperating, aligning. Maybe your productivity will increase. Maybe your efficiency will increase. Maybe that help that you're supposed to get, you will get. Maybe the universal forces, which includes your boss and office and people whom you have to interact with, they start cooperating. Your family, friend, wife, kid, they're there. Everything starts supporting you so that you can keep it as a focus. And that is a realization. You can experience it as well. But if you make Maya as your priority, you'll always be busy. I'm telling you, people who are busy, who are super busy, Maya is at the center of their life. Okay, they will always remain busy. They will never find time. And when you start making your seva your priority, your satsang your priority, your sadhana your priority, you see Maya forces will start cooperating. You will start finding time. If you are busy, there is a serious problem. You're busy. If you're busy in seva, that is a different thing. But if you're busy in your work, people say my work takes my time, most of my time. There is a serious problem. Okay, that needs to be fixed. You can never be too busy. Okay, that is how humans are not meant to work like donkeys, right? And if President Obama and Modi can also find time for his health, that means something is seriously missing. If we are always busy and we don't have time for anything. Okay, those are the most unproductive people, I would say, who are always busy, super busy, and don't have time for, things that matter. Anyways, let's take a few more hands.
Yes, Shyamji, please go ahead.
Isn't
Yes,
it Radhe
Shyam.
Radhe?
Radhe.
It's, dharma will always be there. Something for me would be dharma, and for you would be adharma. If if I do a dharma for somebody else, and I do the intention to serve God, it count as dharma or adharma?
Actually, if you go to the deeper definition of dharma, anything done which takes you closer to God is dharma. Okay, anything other than that is adharma. But that is a very strict definition. If you go by that definition, we all are doing adharma for most part of our lives. But is God descending because of that? Is not. So that is why we will differentiate between paradharma and aparadharma tomorrow. For as long as we are in this conditioned bodily state, we have to do the bodily dharmas as well, right? In hand. But in the same time, we have to keep increasing the proportion of our actual dharma, the dharma of the soul, which is to develop love for God or do devotion. That proportion has to be increased over time, because that is the ultimate dharma that we are going to talk about tomorrow. But it is not contextual, Chambai, that, something which is dharma for you is a dharma for somebody else. It may be our interpretation out of it. Dharma is, like I said, it is universal, timeless. It is like its definition doesn't change. It does not decay. Dharma is dharma, like law of gravitation. It exists. Now, whether we choose to believe in it or our interpretation of it is contextual, that is our problem, right? But dharma remains dharma.
Okay, thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
There are a few more comments. So first of all, Vannaji says super explanation. Some people say that, yes, this is my story. Something is seriously missing and we need to realign. And Shweta ji is asking a question. Does this mean we should only meet people if those meetings or socialization are going to enhance us spiritually?
Very true. That is called satsang. In fact, if you meet people who take your mind to world, who gossip around, who tell you what his neighbor's friend's sister's daughter is doing, or that other marriage, friend's cousin's uncle's daughter's marriage we have to attend, or which new dress we are going to try there out, or gossiping around what's happening, you need to avoid that. In fact, it is like rust or termite, which erodes our spiritual merit faster than anything else. So kusang is something we got to be very careful, and it can come without you even realizing it. You may be perusing through a news, which may be a kusang for you, right? Internet kusang can happen, people kusang can happen. Somebody has called you up just to catch up with you and, start taking your mind to. All those are called kusangs. It's a very good question that you asked. So spiritual mind, so our kamai, the wealth that we earn, if it is 10 rupees, and what we spend, which is kusang, is 100 rupees, so net we are minus 90 that day. So it's not only important to preserve what we have, but to preserve by prevent kusang as well. That is, kusang is the most fastest, surest way of eroding our spiritual wealth. And if our work takes away most of our time, we really need to fix that issue. Okay, this is the common excuse everybody has. I'm too busy with my work. What kind of work are we doing? Okay, if that keeps us busy, did God send us and take a promise that you will do the increase the wealth of the shareholders for the rest of your life, and if you do that, I'll give you a gold medal? What a waste. So find time from your work. Work is just a minuscule part of our life, just to sustain our living, not beyond that. Yes, if you are ambitious, if you are skilled enough, that's fine, but then work cannot be taking majority of our life. We really need to fix that issue. At least I have realized it. You could spend your entire life chasing that elusive post or dream or salary, but end of the life, it will not count for sure. Yes, Shalini ji.
Yes, Shalini ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I think I was thinking about it, and is there a way? I think there is a way where we can kind of do a balance. Everybody has to work, right? We all have our duties to do work, and so if we can somehow find time or dedicate time, certain, even if small, like with full dedication, and dedicate it like purely to God in our meditation or any other kind of serving, I think we can do it. It reminds me of a story about, I think Narad Muni asked Lord Vishnu, who's your biggest devotee? And Narad Muni is like a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, but Lord Vishnu said there's this farmer somewhere in, in a village that he's my biggest devotee. And Naradji was saying, no, how can that be? I mean, I think about you all the time. So uske baad the Naradji ko he gives him a pot of, water and tells him to go all around the hill or a mountain. And Naradji did that without spilling a drop of water. And then Lord Vishnu asks, that how many times did you think about me? He said, no, how could I think? Because, I was focusing on not dropping water. So I think that basically tells us that we can continue to do our duty and at the same time, keep God at the back of our, whatever we do, at the back of every single thought.
True.
So yeah, it's tough, it's hard, but I think with a little effort, I think we can do it. That's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, and that is what Karam Yoga is, right? That is what Karam Yoga is, where God says you do whatever you're doing. Just tweak your consciousness. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the pleasure of God. So if I'm working and my motivation is to earn more so that I can enjoy more, that is where the problem is. Intention is contaminated. That will result in bhog. That will result in binding karma. But if I'm earning more so that I can give more, then you have purified your intention. Right? If I'm earning more, if I'm working hard so that I can become an executive, so that, I will enjoy the prestige, people will say, this guy is a CXO or this kind of a thing, that is contaminated. That is bhog. But if I'm doing that because my sphere of influence would increase so that I can serve better God with my abilities, then you have purified your intention. So God is saying you continue to work hard, you continue to work, but purify your intention behind it. And when you purify it, it is no longer a binding karma. It is going to purify you and it is going to uplift you and take you closer, one step closer to, God realization. So that's essentially what God is saying. You have to continue to work that. And as you do that, you will find when you start attaching things to God, your willingness or desire or desperation to serve him directly will start increasing. This is an indirect way, right? Karam Yoga. You have to work to your worldly duties. You are in this world to sustain your family and everything, but you have started purifying your intention. And when you start purifying your intention, your intensity, your desire to serve him directly will start increasing automatically. So one will lead to another automatically. And when that increases, it's like you want to do that. Of course, you will become more efficient in what you are doing and you'll start finding more time for your direct seva as well. So these are all interrelated concepts. But if we are too hung up in our day-to-day work, and not finding time for anything else, then that becomes a problem, right? Because human life is not meant to do only day-to-day work, and you're not going to get medals because we raised our kids and finally they left us and we kept on thinking about them. And yeah, we have to do that. That's part of our job, but that's not the focal point of our life, right? We'll find new people every life. We need to do that with a consciousness. It's a job given to us, and not keep clinging on to it beyond a point, because it's given to us by God. And then when we do it for his pleasure, then we need to find time for our own sadhana, seva and satsang as well, because that is our spiritual thirst. That is how we will serve our own soul as well, right? Otherwise, we are just operated at a bodily level alone. And that is a huge disservice we would do to ourselves after being born as a human. Okay, what else then?
Ankurji says light bulb moments.
Light bulb moments, okay. That's the whole idea, right? We all get to do that when we think and talk about it. New things come up for sure, and aha moments come as well, I am sure. So
and
that is a power.
Sorry, Shiramaji has asked a follow-up question that if you can provide any tips on fixing the time balance that we kind of end up struggling with, practical day-to-day tips on scheduling time around sadhana.
I don't know, I mean, right question to a wrong person. Okay, I'm myself struggling and working on it. But one thing that has worked for me is to make seva your commitment. It's not something you do as per your convenience. You take up a seva. Seva, see, first time seva is purifying in the sense, because this is something you're not getting paid for. You're not doing it for yourself. Okay, when you start aligning it and make it a commitment in your life, not something as per your convenience. All right, my convenience, if I find time, I'll do it. If I not, then you see your things will start aligning. God makes it happen. That's at least what I have heard. You find time for everything. If you look at Swamiji's schedule, is it easy to believe what he does in a day-to-day basis and how is he able to find time? Somehow you start controlling time also. I don't know how it happens. It starts happening. You find time for everything. Make Seva your commitment in your life. Pick up something small, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but do it with a commitment and see where it takes you. It can do wonders within a span of 5-6 months, I'm telling you. Other than that, finding time for sadhana, if somebody can crack that code and stuff, let me know as well. I'm myself struggling.
Monica ji has given a suggestion from her end, which is that after Bhagavad Gita class, continue sadhana for another half an hour. Like you are in that zone, so you can continue to be
If you're in
that
that zone, it's a good time actually during night time. Just sit, do Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, Hare Ram, whatever Ishtadev you want to think about, just do that for 15-20 minutes. A good time actually, because you're
Anyway,
feeling that
we end with devotional segment, right? So that zone may continue.
it's immediately after contemplation of knowledge and the devotional segment. So you're already on a spiritual high, right? So don't calm your mind, just let it flow at that point.
Announcements?
Sure, please go ahead. And then I think we stop at 10 and then move to a devotional segment, maybe a couple of things, right? Any questions before that? Or you can make the announcements. If somebody comes up with a question, we can take that.
The major announcement is the upcoming Dallas Yoga Fest. I have posted the links couple of times. It's starting coming Friday with a opening lecture by Swamiji himself. He will be here present in person at Dallas for the 3-day yoga festival. Has a lot of events, sustainability contest, cooking contest, various talks, various yoga sessions. So just check that out and do avail the benefits however you can. That's main thing. And then feedback tracker. I've posted the link a couple of times. Do fill it out, put your comments, questions. Nitinji will look at it and he'll get back to you.
Yes, please do that. And tomorrow we talk about Dharma. Paradharma we'll go into, which is a higher Dharma, highest Dharma. Dharma is not an easy thing to understand, right? But we'll simplify that conversation so that you have a very simple thumb rule to go after. Okay. And without any second guessing. So we'll talk about that topic tomorrow. Great. Thank you for an engaging, fascinating discussion today. Hope we got something new out of it today. Please fill out the feedback tracker and we can move to our devotional segment unless you have any question or any reflections you want to share on what we spoke about today. All right. So who do we have? Nothing? Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Like one reflection with respect to our last class where you were talking about different rinas. That also a lot of people end up saying that's your dharma, that you have to, urrin yourself from all the rinas we are bound with as part of our birth in this human form. But then you said that if we are, devoting ourselves to God, it's like serving the roots or watering the roots, automatically everything else gets taken care of. So
right. If we make discharging our rinas as a priority of our life, then that debt cycle will continue. It is like those, what do you call that? You used to have that bonded laborers who would get a land, and that interest will be such that their whole life and their 7 generations will be under that debt. So urrining from our rinas and making that as a priority is a never-ending game. Right? There are so many rinas we will never be urrin from. Guru rin we cannot. Rishi rin we cannot. How can we get urrin from that? Right? Just by raising kids, if you are getting urrin from that, it's not a big deal. There are so many rinas you cannot get urrin from. And the knowledge that we get from Guru, it said, even if you cut your head and put it in his feet, you still cannot get urine from that. That is how powerful Rishi Rin is. And just think about this knowledge. It gives a soul a lift of so many lifetimes. And transformation in the soul it's not a small thing, right? So the Rishi Rin or the Guru Rin that we get, we can never get urine from it. We can make an attempt, but it's something you cannot get urine from. So rather than that, we should go directly to the source and start aligning ourselves towards it. Those rinas will automatically be taken care of. Okay, so now we move to our devotional segment. I think Sandhya is going to sing today. One request I got, and then who else is going to sing? We start with Sandhya, and then maybe one or two may raise their hand. We anyway have to wrap up in 10 minutes because I was told that Monday mornings we have to go. So we'll see. So let's start with Sandhya then. So thank you, everybody. You can stay back. We move to our devotional segment now. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, but you're welcome to stay back. Yes, Aarti ji, you had some question?
Yes, Aarti ji, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, after Sandhya ji, I would like to sing a bhajan.
Awesome.
Okay, sure. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay, let me just... didn't have time to kind of prepare it properly, but it just... I think you can read the lyrics, right? This had Dharma. This I like this bhajan. I'll try to just sing this.
Sure.
आकुर युगल किशोर हमारो चाकर हम पिया प्यारी के ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमाकर हम पिया प्यारी के
This is breaking,
गुरु
right?
सेवा ही धर्म हमारो. Voice is breaking. Hello, can you hear me?
Audio has some trouble today. It's breaking, lagging a little
Maybe
bit.
I'll
here.
just stop my video and try it again, if that helps.
Stop the video.
Is it
We'll try
better?
it. Yeah, go ahead. We'll get to know.
Okay. गुरु सेवा ही धर्म हमारो दास न हम श्रुति चारी के ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमारो चाकर हम पिया प्यारी के. Sri Radha and Sri Krishna are my supreme lords. I am a humble servant of the divine couple. My only desire is to serve my Guru selflessly. I am not a slave to the rites and rituals prescribed by the four Vedas. चाह इह कछु चाह न रह और दास न मुक्ति बेचारी के सुखी रहूं सेवत नित सुख महा प्यारी अरु बनवारी के. My only desire is that no desire should remain in my heart, not even the desire of liberation. I will remain happy, eternally serving Sri Radha for their happiness. महाकाल हूँ कापत थर थर डरते जिन गिरिधारी के सोई कापत थर थर साटी ते ब्रज यशुदासी नारी के. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, who makes even the god of death tremble with fear, he himself trembles looking at the thin stick in Mother Yashoda's hand. नहीं मान्यो अपराध पूत नहीं पूतनी गरल पिवावन वारी के दई कृपालु निज लोक मातु सम को पटतार बनवारी के. O Shri Krishna, you are so merciful that you overlook the sins of the demoness Putna who nursed you with poisoned milk and gave her permanent residence in your divine abode, as if she is your mother. Says Shri Kripalu, O Shri Krishna, who can match your gracious and merciful nature? ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमारो चाकर हम पिया प्यारी के. जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय Shri Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe. That's it. Sorry about the disturbance.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. Beautiful bhajan. And a lot of Tattva Gyan loaded in it as well. Loved it. In fact, Lord Krishna was asked, then the last line that you had, he was asked that, why did you give Putana your abode? And you gave Yashoda also your abode. What's the difference? She came to kill you, and you gave her your abode, and then Yashoda Maiya also your abode. So what's the difference? He said, you know what? That's my rule. Okay. I had to give her because she came with anyway, there's a story about Putna as well. I'm not going to get into that. She was Ratnamala, she had Vatsalya Bhav. So he said, I gave, but then for Yashoda Maiya, I will be eternally indebted for the services she gave me as a mother. Okay, that will be the difference. So that is how Kripalu God is. Even for Putana, he gave him his own abode. By the way, Putna was Ratnamala, I believe, King Bali's sister, I believe. So when Vaman Avatar had happened, when she looked at that beautiful form of Vishnu at that point, she had that maternal affection towards it. I wish I had a son like him. So he said Tathastu. And after that, he became so big when he took the King Bali's entire kingdom, including he had to put his feet on him. Then he thought, if I had a son like him, I would have killed him. So Bhagavan said Tathastu. And then she came as Putana. Not only she came with a maternal thing, she feeded him, but also with an intention to kill him. So both boons were fixed in one shot only. But she got attracted to God, and God said, all right, I'll give you my abode. Go ahead. So that is how mercifully. So thank you, Sandhya. Beautiful, beautiful bhajan, beautiful song. Let's hear Aarti ji and Payal ji is back. So we'll take two more and then we can wrap it up. Yes, Aarti ji, please go ahead.
Yes, Aarti ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Yes, Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe, Aarti ji.
Swati Kamala Kuch Mandalam Dhrita Kundali Kalit Valit Vanumal Jai Jai Dev Hari Swati Kamala Kuch Mandala Dhrita Kundal Ye Kalit Lalit Vanumal Jai Jai Dev Hari दिन मंडल मंडन भव खंडने मुनि जन मानस हंस जय जय देव हरे कालिय विषधर रंजन जन रंजने यदुकुल नलिन दिनेश जय जय देव हरे मधुमुर नरक विनाशनम करुणाशने सुरकुल केलि निदान जय जय देव हरे अमल कमल दल लोचना भव मोचने त्रिभुवन भवन निधान जय जय देव हरे जनक सुताकृत भूषण जित दूषणे शमन शमित दश कंठ जय जय देव हरे जय जय देव हरे जय जय देव हरे राधे राधे
Radhe Aarti ji, very nice. Thank you so much. That was for Lord Shiva, right?
and this is a bhajan for Lord Rama and Lord Krishna.
Okay, Rama and Krishna, I thought for some reason. Okay, very nice. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. All right. So Payal ji, you're back. Good to see you back. Please go ahead. Radhe
Thank you
Radhe,
so
please.
much. Radhe Radhe.
Welcome back. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah.
करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान, 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 करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान। ये अवसर तुम्हें फिर ना मिलेगो, ये अवसर तुम्हें फिर ना मिलेगो, मेरो कहो अभिमान, करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान, करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान, करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान। घूंघरवारी अली के मुख पर, घूंघरवारी अल के मुख पे, कुंडल झलकत काने, करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान, 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 करो मन नंद नंदन को ध्यान। Thank you so much, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, Payalji. So nice, so wonderful. Loved it. Very nice and good to see you back. Hope everything sorted out at your end. So thank you. Loved it. Great. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thank you for the beautiful devotional segment, Payalji, Sandhya, and Aarti ji. Loved every bit of it, and we will continue on our discussion on this topic tomorrow. I look forward to another fascinating devotional segment. We already have a couple of people lined up for it. Thank you from my side. Radhe Radhe. Have a wonderful day and a great rest of your evening. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Do not forget to fill out the feedback tracker. Radhe Radhe. See you tomorrow.
Radhe Radhe.